Gaston Maspero is doing some scary work right now. The Frenchman is taking off the wrappings from mummified bodies that were found deep inside a sacred temple property. This job is already scary, but Maspero is about to learn something even worse. Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about the mystery behind the screaming mummy. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Let's get started. The experts might have figured out how the screaming mummy died. The other mummies seem to have been rulers of Egypt at one time, but this one was placed in a simple, plain coffin and wrapped in a material that ancient people would have thought was disgusting. When Maspero frees the mummy, he can see that the old person looks like he was in trouble when he died. The man's hands and feet are tied together, and he looks horrified. This person looks like they are dead, but their face has been frozen for 1,000 years. Maspero is shocked by what he has seen, and his mind starts to go fast. The researcher will have to wait a while to find out the answers to these questions. In modern times, though, experts have been able to put together a more complete picture. The mummy known as Unknown Manny has finally been identified thanks to modern DNA methods, and we now know more about what happened. Manny was found in a group of tombs called Deir el-Bahari all those years ago. Also nearby is the well-known Valley of the Kings. The first person to start building at the Deir el-Bahari site was the Egyptian leader Mentuhotep. From 2008 to 1957 BC, he was king. He seems to have wanted to be different from his predecessors, so instead of building a temple, he picked Deir el-Bahari. Mentuhotep had his people build him a valley temple where the tombs of other pharaohs were. This temple was connected to a tunnel that went to his tomb, which he called Sutton of Hepeter. This tomb was built on the side of a cliff. There was a cave that led to the pharaoh's tomb, which was built under a stone mastaba, or pyramid. Inside Mentu's tomb temple, 6 tombs were built. Each of these caves was made for a princess of Egypt. All of their tombs were made of slabs and held together with metal pieces. Also, each tomb was carefully painted with pictures that showed how people lived back then. There were the graves of a chancellor named Aktoy, a treasurer named Kitty, and a guard named Georgiup. There was also a mass grave with about 60 soldiers who seemed to have been buried near the king to honor their sacrifice. After Mentuhotep was king, the first pharaoh had a temple built at Deir el-Bahari. This was destroyed later, though, because Hatshepsut, a female queen, wanted to build a monument there. At first, all she wanted to do was build her statue near Amenhotep's temple, but soon the work needed the whole thing to be torn down. In the end, it built a temple that has held up better than any other on the site. Some people say that Djeser is the biggest building in all of Deir el-Bahari, but Thutmose I and Akhenaten, who came after him, did damage to it. This was meant to replace the Temple of the Dead that was built during his rule, but it was so badly damaged that it could only be used to make materials for other projects. Things that had been taken from Deir el-Bahari were sold on the market in the 1870s, which is thousands of years later. Gaston Maspero and one of his helpers decided to look into it. They found that a family from a settlement called Askerne had been stealing the things for several years. This person had not been treated regularly, and Maspero thought the person had been hurt. Maspero said in his book, Les Momies Royales de Deir el-Bahari, published in 1889, that anyone who first saw the unknown Manny thought he had been poisoned. The tightness in his stomach and abdomen, the way his head was desperately thrown back, and the pained look on his face didn't leave much room for another reason. Archaeology says that the doctor who looked at the mummy agreed with Maspero. But the question remained, who was this person who had been buried in such a rude way? And why was he buried near kings and queens? One person said that the mummy was a prince who was meant to marry the dead pharaoh's wife, but died before he could do so. Maybe he was a Manny from somewhere else that no one knew. Another idea is that unknown Manny was actually a famous Egyptian who died outside of his society. Maspero came up with his own idea. He thought that the unidentified man was the killer. His real name was Penter, and he was a prince. He was the son of Ramesses II, who was king of Egypt from 1185 BC to 1153 BC. Researchers said that the ancient Egyptians who put the necklace down the pharaoh's throat possibly tried to heal the wound. Most of the time, the charm was used to heal. To keep it safe, a thick linen collar was worn around the neck. Now, the group that published the results in the British Medical Journal thinks that Pentoyer's body was mummified in an unusual way and buried in Derelberry. Since he killed people, it seems possible that he would have been buried in a disrespectful way, since ancient Egyptians thought sheepskin was dirty. Egypt's Minister of Antiquities was once Dr. Zahi Hawass. Dr. Bob Breyer, an archaeologist, said that the mummy was being affected by two forces. One was trying to kill him, and the other was trying to keep him alive. The expert said that for some reason, someone wanted to make sure the mummy didn't have an afterlife, and someone else cared about him and tried to stop that. In addition to all of this, there is a stronger piece of proof that unknown Manny is actually Pentoyer. The third man was buried somewhere else at first, but his grave was stolen, so he was moved to the same spot as his son and killer. The bodies of the two men were forgotten for thousands of years until a family found them, and other mummies in the 1800s. Even then, it took a few more centuries for their stories to be told. That's it for today. What do you think about this incredible discovery? Let us know in the comments section. Please like and share our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates.